Hello and welcome in, gamers. Much love. Trav here, and I want to share with you some studies on how games make us smarter, how games improve our lives, how games change the structural connectivity of our brains. So, if you play a lot of games and you wonder like, what the fuck am I doing? Is this good for me? Maybe you have pressure from friends or families, you get called nerd, whatever. I've been there. I actually have a lot of support from my parents from gaming when I was growing up, so thank to them for that. Although I know not everyone does. And this video is meant to be here's what you can show them, or here's what you can show yourself. Here's what you're actually doing. Here's why humans play games. Now, I could throw with you anecdotes about, oh, games made my life better for this and that reason, and I really believe that they have, and I will do that later, but I think it's more powerful to show you some of the studies that I found. So we live in the age of Google and real easy access to studies. You can go search studies and find that games help with all sorts of tasks and decision making. But I like this one study that I found because they actually looked at the brain and the brain structure and found that there were positive changes. So this study over here, Raksha Mudar and Sandra Chapman, enhancements of cognitive and neural functions through complex reasoning training. So public awareness of cognitive health is fairly recent. Evidence presented across studies supports potential for GIST reasoning training to strengthen cognitive performance. GIST is a game that, I'm not going to get into the full details on this, but basically they picked a game and then tested it. Meaningful benefits of GIST training provide compelling motivation to examine optimal dose for sustained benefit. So this is going to raise some more questions about like what's the optimal dose. Um, and this is good for Alzheimer's disease. So if you have parents or old folks, to get them playing games, it seems like it helps. And I'll show you the part that I find really interesting. Cognitive healthy adults. So again, we know, and there's plenty of studies that say, hey, games improve your reasoning in this way and that way. But here it really looks at actually the brain structure. We found significantly increased structural connectivity as measured with different tensor imaging. In the left, I don't understand this, okay? White matter tract. Finding of increased white matter integrity in this select brain region suggests that some degree of brain atrophy of white matter in healthy aging may be reversible through GIST training. So playing games can make you younger, functionally younger. So this is especially relevant for those of us in our 20s and then 30s and then 40s, 50s, 60s, etc., etc. Keeps our brain fresh and young. Expansion. I'll put a link to this in the comments. Conclusion. Top down. Top down strategy based training yield efficient and easily adoptable methods of mental practice. Broad based benefits. Um, just meaning creating illustrated by generating. So I'm not gonna go into like what how GIST works. That's in here, or how the game works. But basically, if you're playing whatever game you're playing is gonna have different benefits. I mean, for a few examples, I really like Magic for creation and sequencing. I really like chess for uh, spatial reasoning. Actually, shooters are good for spatial reasoning, spatial awareness. There's tests that show that, studies. And I like StarCraft for sequential tasking, like multitasking, holding multiple ideas in head simultaneously, and speed. I like League of Legends and shooters for teamwork and coordination, and I could go on and on. But the main thing is all these games have different effects on the brain, generally generally positive, and we can take those improved brain function back into whatever the fuck we're doing outside of games and get more done. So if you're awake for 16 hours a day and you just work for 16 hours, you compared to if you play games for 1 hour and work for 15 hours, those 15 hours will be more efficient and more effective than the 16 hours if you game for 1 hour. So basically, in conclusion, we know that it changes the structure positively. We know that it helps with games help with specific cognitive functions, and there's all sorts of anecdotes that it just makes games are super helpful. So if you've been wondering, there's your answer. If you get pressured about it, there's your answer. You'd be smug about having a big noggin, a big head, big brain. Um, if you have more studies, you find more studies, you can post them below. To me, this is sufficient to kind of stop searching in this region and just confirm, okay, this is good, this works. Or if you have another game and you want to give an example of how it helps, or specifically how it trains the brain or other categories, I didn't cover all of them. Poker, there's a lot of statistics and variance study in that game. So, you could basically any kind of popular game you can look at uh, pull lessons from it if we choose to. So much love. Hope you enjoy this. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think.